A 12-year-old boy was home alone for the first time in his life. He was playing Roblox Doors with strangers when one of them asked about his Minecraft shirt, but the boy never showed his t-shirt to anyone. What happened next will keep you on the edge of your seat. Watch until the end. At 12 years old, Jacob had been asking his parents for one specific thing for almost a year. Not the tablet they gave him for his birthday, although he loved it. Not the new Roblox gift cards his grandmother sent every other month. He wanted to be left home alone. His parents were the careful kind, the kind who still walked him to the bus stop even though the bus stop was at the end of their own driveway. The kind who, when they went grocery shopping on a Saturday afternoon, brought him along whether he wanted to come or not. He was an only child in a quiet suburban house, and his parents had decided a long time ago that quiet houses with only children in them were not safe to leave empty. Jacob did not see it that way. He saw it the way most 12-year-olds see it. He saw it as the last small thing standing between him and the version of himself he wanted to be. The version that was almost a teenager. The version that could handle himself. The version that did not need to walk through the cereal aisle behind his mother on a Saturday when there was a Roblox game waiting on the couch. That summer, the game was Doors. He had been trying to beat it for 3 weeks. Every time, he died somewhere after door 50. Every time, he told himself that the next run would be the one. He was not addicted to Roblox the way some kids are. He was addicted to the idea that he was almost good enough. On the afternoon his parents finally said yes, he was already mid-run. 8 players had started. By door 50, only 3 were left. He begged, he promised, he listed every safety rule he could think of. Lock the front door, lock the back door, do not open it for anyone. Run to Mrs. Judy's house next door if anything feels wrong. Mrs. Judy was the kind of neighbor who brought over leftovers in foil-wrapped plates and asked his mother every Sunday how school was going. His parents looked at each other for a long moment. Then his mother said one word. Okay. He did not even hear the door close behind them. He was already back on the couch. The run continued. Players dropped. By door 70, it was just him and one other player. The other player had a bacon avatar, the default beginner skin, exactly like Jacob's. There was only one detail that made him different. One of his eyes glowed red. Jacob did not think much about the eye at first. Custom avatars in Roblox could do almost anything. What he did notice, slowly, was that the other player was not playing. He was not opening doors. He was not searching for keys. He was just walking. Wherever Jacob went, the bacon player went, one step behind, like a shadow that did not know it was supposed to copy his movements exactly. The chat messages started small. What's your name? How old are you? Easy questions. Questions a normal kid might ask another normal kid in a lobby. Jacob had been told 100 times not to answer questions like that. He did not answer them. He kept moving. But Jacob did not yet know that the person on the other end of that account was not asking those questions to learn the answers. He was asking them because he already knew the answers. He was asking them to find out whether Jacob would tell the truth. And the part of this story that took Jacob's parents a long time to understand, the part that kept his mother awake for weeks afterward, was that the questions were never the dangerous part. The questions were the test. The first time Jacob felt something was wrong, the screen had not changed at all. He had walked into a side room to grab a vitamin. The bacon player was already standing there, waiting, as if he had known which door Jacob was going to choose before Jacob chose it. Then came the message that made Jacob's hands go cold. Let me guess, your favorite Minecraft mob is the creeper. Jacob almost typed yes. He almost typed it because it was true. He almost typed it because it was the kind of thing any Roblox kid would guess about any other Roblox kid. Half the boys his age loved creepers. It was not strange. It was not specific. Except Jacob was wearing a Minecraft creeper t-shirt. Not in the game, in his living room, on his couch, on his actual body. He looked down at the shirt. Then he looked at the screen. Then he looked at his front window, the one whose blinds were halfway open because he had not bothered to close them. Then he looked at the screen again, slower this time. He told himself it was a coincidence. He told himself a lot of things in the next 30 seconds, and he did not believe most of them, but he wanted to believe them, because the alternative was a kind of fear he had never had to feel before. The chat messages kept coming. Do you have any brothers or sisters? What school do you go to? What's your teacher's name? Each one alone was nothing. Together, they were a list. And Jacob, who had only ever been told about strangers in vague terms by his parents and his school counselor, suddenly understood, in the small private way that 12-year-olds understand serious things, that the person on the other side of the screen was making a list about him. He typed one more sentence. Let's just finish the game. The bacon player did not move for almost 10 seconds. Then the message came back. Is that why you didn't go with your parents? You wanted to stay home alone on the couch in your living room and play Roblox? Jacob would later tell a school counselor that he did not remember dropping the tablet. He did not remember running. He remembered being on the couch, and then he remembered being under his bed. And the 30 seconds in between were a blank space that his brain had decided to throw away on his behalf. He remembered other things, though. He remembered that his bedroom door was now locked. He remembered that the curtains were pulled. He remembered, with a sick, falling feeling in his stomach, that he had not locked the front door. He had promised his parents he would. He had told himself that he would. And then a Doors run had started, and he had forgotten. The way 12-year-olds forget things. The way every kid in the country forgets the one thing his parents told him to remember. He also remembered that his phone was not in his pocket. It was somewhere in the living room, probably on the couch, probably next to the tablet. He could see it in his head as clearly as if he were standing over it. And he understood, lying flat on his bedroom floor with his cheek against the carpet, that he could not go get it. For a long time, nothing happened. He listened to his own breathing. He listened to the refrigerator humming through the wall. He listened to a car drive past the house and felt his whole body tense and then unclench when it kept driving. Then he heard the back door open. It was not a slam. It was not a break-in the way break-ins look in movies. It was the soft sound of a door being opened by someone who already knew that the door was unlocked. The footsteps that followed were unhurried. They moved from the back of the house toward the living room, the way a person moves when they have been in a house before, or when they have spent enough time looking through the windows to know the layout. Jacob saw the shadow pass under his bedroom door. He saw it stop. He saw it turn. Then it moved on, into the kitchen. He heard cabinets open. He heard cabinets close. Whoever was in his house was looking for something small. A child, maybe. A child who might hide in a cabinet, because a child would not know that cabinets are the first place anyone checks. The thing that saved Jacob's life was a stack of pots. He did not know it at the time. He found out 3 days later, when his father sat him down at the kitchen table with a face Jacob had never seen on him before. His father told him that the police had reviewed the timeline, the footprint at the back fence, the torn-off shoe, the cabinet that had been opened and not closed, and the pots. The pots had been in the cabinet next to the stove. The man in the kitchen had pulled that cabinet open hard, the way someone pulls a cabinet open when they think a child is hiding inside it. And the entire stack of pots had crashed onto the tile floor at the same moment that another sound came from outside. A car door. A car door that the man inside the kitchen could not have known belonged to Jacob's parents, who had turned around halfway to the grocery store because Jacob's father had forgotten his wallet on the counter. The man in the kitchen did not know it was Jacob's parents. He only knew that the pots had been loud, and that a car had stopped outside, and that the math of how long he had been inside the house had run out. He ran. Out the back door, over the fence, out of one shoe which the police would later use to start a list of their own. When Jacob's parents walked through the front door a minute later, the first thing they noticed was the tablet on the couch. The second thing they noticed was the kitchen floor. The third thing was a small voice from down the hall, saying, "Mom," in a way his mother had not heard him say since he was 4 years old. The police came. Then a detective came. Then a woman from a children's services office came, not because Jacob had done anything wrong, but because that is what happens when something like this happens to a child. And the systems that exist for children move quickly when they need to. They asked Jacob a lot of questions. He answered most of them. The ones he could not answer, the woman told him gently, he did not have to answer. The man was not caught right away. He was caught about 6 weeks later, in a different state, after he had done something similar to a different child, who had also gotten lucky. The detective who called Jacob's parents to tell them said one sentence that Jacob's mother wrote down on a piece of paper and kept in her wallet for a long time afterward. He said, "Your son did everything right." That was not true in the literal sense. Jacob had forgotten to lock the front door. Jacob had given out small pieces of information in the chat. Jacob had stayed in the game with a player who was clearly behaving strangely when he could have left the lobby. By the strict accounting of every safety lecture he had ever heard, Jacob had failed several tests in a row. But the detective did not mean it that way. He meant something else. He meant that the moment Jacob's body had told him to run, Jacob had run. He had not argued with the feeling. He had not waited to see if he was overreacting. He had not tried to be brave in the way that 12-year-old boys sometimes try to be brave, which is to say, the wrong way. Months later, Jacob would tell a therapist that the part of the story he could not stop thinking about was not the footsteps. It was not the shadow under the door. It was the creeper t-shirt. Because the creeper t-shirt was the moment he had a choice. He could have answered yes, the way he wanted to. He could have kept the conversation going, the way the player wanted him to. The man on the other end had been counting on a small instinct in every 12-year-old, which is the instinct to be agreeable, to be polite, to not make a stranger feel bad for asking a question. What had saved Jacob was not bravery. What had saved him was the smallest, quietest part of himself. The part that noticed something was wrong and decided, without asking permission from the rest of him, to stop being polite. The therapist told him something he would carry for a long time. She told him that his job, for the rest of his life, was to listen to that small, quiet part of himself faster than he listened to the polite part. That most adults spent decades learning what he had learned in one afternoon on a couch, with a tablet in his hands and a bacon avatar with one red eye standing one step behind him in a game he was almost good enough to beat. Jacob still plays Roblox sometimes. Not Doors. Not yet. He plays Adopt Me with a friend from school, with the sound on and his mother in the next room and the front door locked. He has a different tablet now. The old one sits in a drawer in his father's office, in a plastic bag the police gave back 6 months after they took it. He does not stay home alone. Not because his parents will not let him, although they will not for a long time. He does not stay home alone because he does not want to. There is a difference between being old enough to be alone and being ready to be alone. And Jacob, who turned 13 last month, has decided that those are not the same thing. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. You do not need a reason. You do not need proof. You do not need to be polite. You just need to leave the room. What would you have done, sitting on that couch, reading that message about the creeper t-shirt? Tell us in the comments. Hey, if you have a younger brother, a younger sister, a cousin, a kid you babysit, anyone in your life who plays online games, please send them this video. Not to scare them, just so they know that the small voice in the back of their head is allowed to be louder than the polite one in the front of it. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe. There are more like this one coming, and I want you here for them.